Choice Hotels get you more of what you value. Here's a little tune to help you remember. Same drive, different day. Don't you wish you were getting away? Pack your bags and come on through. Texas, Ohio, Alaska, we're up there too. Comfort Inn, it's calling your name. Save on the stay. Oh, and free waffles are yours to claim. Well, I hope you like my little song. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
Need a laptop that's built to perform and designed to last all day? Select Windows 11 PCs starting at $499.99 are now at Best Buy. Learn more at bestbuy.com. Best Buy. Imagine that.
This episode is brought to you by Fox One. Watch all 104 matches of the FIFA World Cup live in 4K for just $19.99 a month with 3 days free. Build your own multi-view, choose up to 3 streams, and follow player spotlights. Stay on top of every moment with live stats, highlights, and instant replays. The FIFA World Cup, streaming live on Fox One. Offers are subject to change. See fox.com for complete terms and conditions.
100 Welcome to 100 Songs that Define Heavy Metal. I'm your host, Brian Slagel. I'm the CEO of Metal Blade Records. The next time you're in Las Vegas, or if you currently live in Las Vegas or the Las Vegas area, you need to visit the Metal Blade Museum. Now, not only are there artifacts from Metal Blade artists like Metallica, Slayer, Cannibal Corpse, Gwar, Lizzie Borden, there's also artifacts from bands that we had something to do with as well, like Guns N' Roses, Megadeth, Alice in Chains, Deep Purple, Thin Lizzy, Alice Cooper, all sorts of stuff. So it's a really great metal museum. It's located right near the Strip in Las Vegas. Also, our retail store is also now in the museum. So you can go pick up your Metal Blade vinyl, CDs, collectibles, shirts, all sorts of cool stuff. Just go to metalblade.com/museum for all the details. We have a super fun show today I'm very excited about. We're going to talk about one of the greatest songs ever in AC/DC's Hell's Bells on the second biggest selling album of all time in all of music. That's pretty insane. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun one. We're going to talk to our buddy Ryan Williams from Metal Blade about the production. We're going to bring back my good buddy, Mr. Adam Rank from NFL Network, and amongst other things, who's an awesome dude and knows his music very well. But first off, as always, we're going to talk to Mr. Martin Popoff and see what he says about this song.
Absolutely, Brian. Hell's Bells from Back in Black. Everybody knows this song, of course, but not everybody knows or is annoyed as I am with the fact that there's no apostrophe in it. It's just Hell's Bells. But no, Back in Black, this is an album issued July 25th, 1980 with the iconic black cover with the embossing on it as well. But this album is the third or fourth, officially right now, it's the fourth biggest selling album in America after Eagles' Greatest Hits. Hotel California gets in there as at third, and then Michael Jackson Thriller at second. But yeah, this is fourth. 27 million in the US, so pushing on 3 times Diamond, and estimated 50 million copies worldwide. So yeah, interesting song here. It starts with the big tolling of the bell, which is absolutely iconic as well. I went and interviewed the guy who worked on the bell for one of my old AC/DC books. It's the opening track on Back in Black. Often people sort of think of Back in Black as being maybe the opening track because it is the opening track of side 2, or at least in the old days. You might have got that wrong, but interesting way to open the album. I mean, it is the tolling of the bell for Bon. It's kind of a dark song. You wonder, you question, are they saying Bon's gone to hell? I don't know what's going on with that, right? But it's more of just a general song. It's obviously not topically written for Bon. Long song, second longest song on the album at 5:10. It is the darkest song in the album. I think Giving the Dog a Bone is fairly dark, at least musically sort of thing. But this is truly truly dark. I mean, the whole lyric is, dark and stormy and creepy. And I've always considered it the sister track to Sin City because that is the only song on that album, which is kind of a darker song. This is kind of slow. It's muscular mid-tempo. It's got that arpeggiated sort of taken apart, pretty standard AC/DC chording. It's, I guess you would call it a riff because of the arpeggiation in it. And of course, this is the first album with Brian Johnson after the death of Bon Scott. And you hear Brian's, unearthly howl. It's kind of a Dan McCafferty kind of voice. He came from a band called Geordie. Had all but given up on this, was running a business, tried out semi on a lark and got the job. And here he was. Super important song, big song. It came out as the second single from the album on Halloween of 1980. And, as I look at the track list here, there's about 3 massive songs on here. Back in Black, You Shook Me All Night Long, and Hell's Bells. Maybe we drop down to Shoot to Thrill. After that, maybe Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution. But big hit on this record. And it gave the record most of its sort of heavy metal cred, so to speak. Because, when this came out back then, this was considered part of the heavy metal world for sure. And this song with its sort of sinister vibe and the album cover and all that kind of went a little bit of the way for AC/DC getting stuck into all that satanic panic stuff because, they're kind of courting it with this title, Hell's Bells. But yeah, absolutely a super famous song in heavy metal history. Great choice, Brian. Hell's Bells.
Thank you, Martin. I mentioned earlier, it's the second highest selling album of all time in the world. Apparently in North America, it's number 4, according to Martin. But thanks for all that stuff. Always good to hear from you.
This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at Accenture.com/Spotify.
This is going to be an extremely busy month. I have to watch 104 soccer games, follow the pregame, the postgame, yell useless opinions at the TV. It's a lot. So I knew that when it comes to screening for colon cancer, the choice was clear. The Cologuard Plus test. It can be used at home and can only take 15 minutes, so I can do it during halftime and not miss any action. If you are 45 or older and at average risk, ask your healthcare provider about screening for colon cancer with the Cologuard test. You can also request a prescription at Cologuard.com.
33 days, 33 episodes. Join me, Max Rushton, and our expert team of soccer journalists every day of the World Cup for analysis, drama, and everything in between. World Cup Daily, listen on Spotify now, or watch full episodes on YouTube.
Welcome back, our friend, Mr. Ryan Williams. Of course, you know him from Black Dahlia Murder and producing other bands and being A&R at Metal Blade currently, bringing in all these really cool bands. So blame him if you love it or if you don't love it.
Oh, no. Hey, Brian.
It's all good, man. How you doing?
Good.
Oh, yeah, so Hell's Bells, AC/DC. This is, of course, an important track for a myriad of reasons. But, of course, this was the first track after Bon Scott had passed away that we all heard, the first song on the record, new singer Brian Johnson. And it's interesting because there's a whole lot of stories to the recording of this record. They originally wanted to record it in England, but there's no studio time. So they ended up in the Bahamas at Nassau.
Yep.
And not of the best. They didn't have the best quarters there, to say the least, where they were staying. And Brian Johnson talks a lot about recording this record in his book and, talking about writing the lyrics and kind of where they were staying and how it wasn't a 5-star hotel. Let's put it that way, in the Bahamas. But yeah, it was pretty interesting. And so it's Mutt Lange and the same crew that did Highway to Hell, but it sounds a lot different than Highway to Hell. And I'm guessing it's just a lot of it has to do with where they were and the acoustics. And I know they're having a lot of trouble getting the guitar tones and other things in there. And, Mutt Lange, I don't think he was quite to the level that he got to where he was, a crazy taskmaster and doing a million takes. I know he did make Brian Johnson do a lot of stuff over and over and over again, which I know Brian was not particularly very fond of, but it worked out okay in the end. It wasn't a difficult record to make necessarily, but there were a lot of hurdles to get over for the studio and even, just where they were staying.
Yeah, I mean, some of the big stories I'm sure everyone has heard is just like you said, the actual where they were staying in the studio itself, I guess, was pretty sketchy. And apparently the woman that was kind of the overseer there, like, gave them fishing spears. So in case any of the locals came and tried to rob the studio, they'd have a way to fight them off. There was like crabs walking across. It wasn't luxurious studio that we might normally think of. And yeah, you're right. Mutt had not trouble, but there was a lot of, again, coming back to this word, experimentation with where the amps were placed, where the drums were placed, and a lot of getting the tone came down to where physically in the room that you set up, and they, moved the snare around and hit it here, and finally found the best spot. And that's another thing that I think that we lose in the modern era is room placement, room mics, getting everything sounding good in the room and then trying to capture that. And that was, I think, a big part of this. There's stories about, again, we talked about this before, making Brian comfortable doing vocals, getting him his own little space. The AC difference, like once his vocals got warmed up, he would stay where he was because he didn't want to come into the control room where there was AC and go back and forth. So a lot of things to make people comfortable and get the best tone out of people. And that's another thing that we come back to a lot, talking about production on these albums.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. The air conditioning thing always makes me laugh because Europeans are not used to air conditioning.
Right.
Because there is no air conditioning in most of Europe.
True.
And it does, I know European bands that come over here and tour always have constant problems with the AC on the bus, and the singers constantly get sick because they're not used to having AC. And I've heard that story a million times. So it's kind of, it's not funny, but it makes sense that he was like, I don't want to go anywhere because I don't want the AC coming in and kind of hitting on my vocals. But yeah, the other thing, and Brian again talks a lot about it in his book, and his book's amazing, by the way, so I highly recommend it, about how, because there's been all the controversy. Bon Scott wrote all these lyrics, or Bon Scott wrote everything, blah blah blah. And Brian, who's like one of the nicest people I've ever met, everybody who's met him and knows him says the same thing. He's a real good guy. And he wrote all the lyrics, and he talks about almost each song in detail in the book, especially this one, Hell's Bells, where, Rolling Thunder, Bound Rain, because they're getting all these crazy storms and in the Bahamas. So, he was kind of writing a lot of it as he was down there. Nothing else to do in that little room they were in, I guess. But it's interesting.
I guess there were power outages, and there was a full-on tropical storm that came through. And like you said, that's where the lyrics for that song came from. So pretty interesting how that works.
Yeah, and of course they ended up mixing it at Electric Lady in New York, and it's interesting because I was looking, and there's been a whole bunch of different masterings, and our buddy Ted Jensen, who's done countless Metal Blade masterings, did one of the remasterings of this. And of course, George Marino, who we've used on occasion when he was still around, when he was still doing it, was the legendary guy that pretty much everybody used for mastering. And the mastering thing is something that, we've talked about a lot on these production things here, and how important it was back then. Because when you take the tapes, and these this is tape, and you converting them into these things to make vinyl out of it, and the sound can change, and you have to prepare the record so that the sound doesn't change so much. Or if there's something missing, if there's not enough bass, or if there's these overall changes, the really good mastering engineers could make a record that didn't sound so great, sound amazing. Absolutely. A quick story about that with Ted Jensen. We were making Shadows of Security with As I Lay Dying, and I was actually in Europe when we were finishing it, and I got the final mixes, and I was listening to them going, these don't sound very good. I'm like, nope, that's it. We're done. That's it. We're done. We're not doing anything else. I'm like, I was freaking out. And then I got the mastering from Ted Jensen, and it sounded incredible. I was like, oh my God. So he knew exactly, and he had mastered the producer stuff before, so he kind of knew how it worked, but he made it sound amazing. So mastering engineers, especially back in the day, were extremely important.
That's a great point. I do a little mastering myself, and I can just say that it's a really interesting job. For me, it's really fun because you get to kind of avoid all the painstaking sitting in the studio for endless takes and just work on the sonics. And you can take something that's maybe like a B and bring it up to an A, or you can, if something's already an A, you can maybe make it an A+. And it's a really cool feeling to get that final touch of EQ and whatever little tweaks on it. And like you said, if something's missing, maybe there's a little low end missing, or there's, too much of this, you can kind of make those final adjustments. And this is going to be the final version that everyone listens to, and until they do a remaster. But to me, the Black Album, or I'm sorry, Back in Black is one of the all-time reference mixes and masters that other people will listen to this day to compare their stuff to see if it holds up.
Yeah,
right up there with the Black Album as another reference mix and master, because and especially for 1980, it sounds so good. It's not easy listening, but it's easy to listen to, meaning it's very well balanced.
Yeah.
It just sounds great turned up. It sounds great on every system you listen to it on. It sounds great in the car. I'm sure it sounded great on the radio at the time, which was a big part of the success. So yeah, production really, really does matter a lot,
Yeah, and they, those guys did such a great job. And Tony Platt was the engineer, and Tony's done a million. He did tons and tons of records in the 70s, and he was, Mutt was still fairly young when he was doing this. So these were kind of the biggest record he was doing at the time. Obviously, Def Leppard and Shania Twain and everything after that.
Yep.
So I know that Tony Platt, because I just listened to so many records that he engineered and produced in the 70s, and they all sounded so good. That was the basis of everything. And then Mutt did his magic. I mean, Highway to Hell sounds great too, and this one, does as well. Like I said, it sounds a little bit different for a reason. I guess a lot of it is just the vocals, obviously, are very different. It's a spectacular record. And when I first heard it, actually on the radio, first time I ever heard it, I was like, wow, this is, because we didn't know what to expect. It's like, wow, what's going to happen here? A whole new singer. And
right.
I mean, I knew the band Geordie, but, you didn't know what to expect. And just listening to it. And yeah, sonically, it's one of those records. And I'm a perfectionist, so I don't know you can ever get there, but this record is almost a perfect sounding record.
It's kind of hard to find interviews and stuff with Mutt Lange also, but Tony has given a lot of great interviews over the years and talked about the recording. So that's something, again, I always mention if people are interested, you can find a lot of interviews with him talking about the creation. And he seems like a really great guy and a really great engineer as well.
Yeah, I mean, he did so much stuff. And yeah, Mutt really never talks to anybody, or he's a pretty private guy and doesn't really like to talk about a bunch of stuff, which, I get that. He's he does what he does, but obviously, he's produced some of the biggest records of all time. So he knows what he's doing. That's for sure.
And just funny enough to go back to Guitar Tone again, we were just talking about Metallica, but on this album, they also used very similar Marshall amps, those same Celestion G12 65 watt speakers, same as on Ride the Lightning. So there's something, again, very magical about the amps and the cabinets from that time. Another little quirky thing on the Guitar Tone is Angus was using this wireless system at the time, which is like the very early days of wireless, technology.
Yep.
It's called a Schaefer Diversity. And it had a preamp in there with the way that it uncompressed and compressed the audio. That was like a special part of the Guitar Tone. And it's just funny that you wouldn't think it at this time that about wireless technology, but I guess that was something that lended to his tone. And there's actually modern replications of that wireless unit because people are still, again, chasing that tone from back then.
Well, yeah, he kind of had to use wireless because he's running around like a maniac on stage. And I remember watching, if you watch some of the early 70s stuff, they're constantly trying to, between him and Bon Scott, trying to get their chords all strung together. And there's people trying to fix it and everything. Yeah. So as soon as he could get a wireless, he did it. And I remember I sadly was not at this show because I was a little too young, but they played a Whiskey once. And Bon put Angus on his shoulders, and they left the club. They went across the street to there was a record store across the street, then there was a burger place across the street from the Whiskey. They went into all those places, and you could still hear Angus's guitar, even amazing. Though they were not quite a block away, but a little bit away. So yeah, it was one of the first. And you obviously couldn't do that before, so
right?
Hey, we can do it now. Let's just go walk along Hollywood Boulevard here. Why
That's not? So cool. Oh my God.
Sunset Boulevard, sorry.
Oh yeah. Another, I guess, big story from this song specifically is the recording of the bell. They commissioned a bell to actually be made. They went, I guess, originally and tried to record a bell in London, but there was birds flying around and city noise, and it didn't really work out. So they had commissioned this bell. It actually needed to be 2 tons to be in the correct key they were looking for, but that's just like an insane thing to commission. So they ended up with a 1-ton bell, and they used like 15 or 16 mics to record this thing. So I guess it's actually really difficult to record it properly because it's just such a dynamic and it has so many overtones, and it's not the easiest thing to record, even though you'd think it's just loud and you just put a mic in front. But I guess that's not the case. So they recorded this 1-ton bell and then actually had to pitch it down an octave afterwards. So it's kind of interesting. They went to all that trouble to actually make this bell at Ironworks.
Yeah, I remember the bell was you're right, that bell was a whole story. In fact, they used a whole mobile unit to go record it. So to get it to sound good. And again, here we're talking about, the early 80s when when you had to kind of do things like that. And, now you're just like, okay, we need a bell sound. Let's find the sample.
Download it.
Yeah. And just download it. But back then it's like, no, you had to actually find a bell and find the right bell. I think they went through 2 or 3 different bells. I know they tried a church bell that didn't work right. And I think they had to end up making their own, but it is an iconic sound. And certainly it's an interesting beginning to the record because it's very somber, obviously, the ringing of the bell and, in tribute to Bond, obviously.
Right.
But it also has kind of almost like an evil sound to it too. And then you get into the song and it's even like, wow, that's pretty interesting. And I can see why it took them so long to finally get the perfect sound. Yeah,
that's what happens a lot of times when you pitch stuff down. It kind of takes on a different character of maybe more somber or whatever, but it just has a different quality to it. So I think that really added to it. Just doing it the way they did and having to pitch it down actually, I think, enhanced it more than anything.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because they made the record fairly quickly in Mutt Lange terms because after this we know that Mutt, like every record he did, probably took at least a year, if not several years,
to
make. So he was still kind of in his let's just make a record, and I think it was like 6 or 8 weeks or whatever it was. So
close to a month again, which is amazing.
It wasn't drawn out like it was there. But those guys, I just know from talking to people who've worked with AC/DC in the studio, they're no nonsense. They come in, they play their stuff, they're well rehearsed, they know what they're doing, and they want to sit there and keep doing things over and over again.
And again, playing all live in a room, doing overdubs later, get a lot of bang for your buck as far as time wise, doing things that way too. And the feel, you get that incredible groove, the feeling of people playing live together, all the stuff we kind of keep coming back to.
Yeah, and I know Phil Rudd hits really hard. I love Phil Rudd. He's one of my favorite drummers of all time. But yeah, I know he hit hard, and it's all when drummers hit hard. It's a little trickier sometimes to mic them. Although as long as it's even, and they're not just hitting the snare hard and then the tom's not as hard, then it's more of a pain. But he was pretty consistent. But I know you have to kind of dial down or find the right mics when somebody hits super hard like that.
No, you totally nailed it. A lot of times in the studio, if people will maybe hit the snare super hard, but then when they go to do a fill on the toms, it's not as hard. So finding someone that is a consistent hard hitter makes a huge difference, and it really makes the drums pop. And they sound absolutely fantastic on this album. So
amazing. I mean, he's always had a great sound, and that's another thing. As long as the band sounds good when you go into the studio, it's not as difficult to make it sound good as the end result, which clearly AC/DC's always sounded good.
Yes, that's a thing that I think a lot of young bands miss too. Is they record everything and it's okay, and they're like, well, we'll make it sound better in mixing. And really, ideally, you want it to be the other way around. You want to get your source material to sound as great as possible. And that's something that all these songs that we've talked about, that seems to be the way that they go about it, is really capturing amazing tones and performances. And then when you go to mix, you don't really have to try that hard. It's a lot easier if all the things you actually captured are already great. So.
Yeah, the sentence "will fix it in the mix" is the worst thing you want to hear, because that's not usually possible. So as long as everything's good, then it's easy to mix and the record's going to sound good. You're 100% right.
Yep.
I do. Well, as always, thanks so much for doing this, and I'm sure we'll see you soon.
Yes. Thanks, Brian. Have a good
Thanks,
one.
man. Hey, everyone. Brian Slagel here, founder of Metal Blade Records. I spent my whole entire life trying to make metal history and make metal better and promote metal as much as I can. And now there's a brand new way for you to test your metal knowledge and relive those iconic moments. It's called Metal Mondays, the official metal trivia game from Metal Blade and Pantheon Media, and it's free to play right now. Every Monday, a new game drops. From Slayer, Supremacy to Death, Metal 101, 80s, Metal Blade Classics, and tons more. You'll battle it out on the leaderboards, win killer prizes, and even score some exclusive Metal Blade merch. So if you think you know your riffs, your legends, and your deep cuts, prove it. Download Hit Replay on the App Store or Google Play, or head to metalbladerecords.com/Metal Mondays and start playing today. Because in metal, there's no off days. Only Metal Mondays. Metal Mondays. Play loud, play true, and play to win.
Want to elevate your travel experience? Here's how. With a Delta SkyMiles Reserve American Express card, you can relax before your flight in the Delta Sky Club with up to 15 visits per medallion year. And now through July 15th, 2026, you can earn up to 125,000 bonus miles, so you're closer to your next adventure. The Delta SkyMiles Reserve card. Check out the new design at www.delta.com/Spotify. Minimum spending requirements and terms apply.
Adobe Firefly is the all-in-one creative studio with AI-powered image and video editing for today's creative process. Built for creators of every kind, Firefly helps you generate, edit, and experiment fast. Because the asks aren't getting smaller, the budgets aren't getting bigger, and the timelines, oh yeah, still tight. With all the best creative AI models in one place, Firefly brings your ideas to life. Unlock a better way to make with Adobe Firefly.
Suffering from dry, tired, irritated eyes? Don't let dry eyes win. Use Sustain Pro. It hydrates, restores, and protects dry eyes for up to 12 hours. Sustain Pro. Triple action dry eye relief.
All right, we welcome him back for the second time. You know him from all his work on the NFL Network, the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank, the After Show with Jim Rome and Adam Rank. It's, of course, Mr. Adam Rank. How are you, sir?
What's going on? Great to be here. Great to get another opportunity to talk some music. I didn't look to see which black concert tee I was putting on, but I grabbed Depeche Mode. So I hope that's fine. I'm sorry, I love music. They play drums now. They got a drummer now, so we should be cool.
Depeche Mode is perfectly fine because the last time I saw them, I went and was invited by my buddy Kerry King from Slagel.
Oh!
If it's good enough for Kerry King, then we're all good. A lot of metalheads love them, so you're good.
I love that. That's one of the things, too, that I think that we missed out, or at least I did growing up, is everybody was so, like, you're either into this new wave, you're into heavy metal, or you're into punk. And I kind of liked all of it, you know? So I'm like, hey, I like Agent Orange. I like Duran Duran. Like, it's like, hey, everybody has good music. And I also like, you know, a lot of Iron Maiden and Motley Crue. Motley Crue, I don't know if I should have thrown that up. I don't know if I should admit. No, I do like
It's okay. They're all right.
You know what? I do like Motley Crue. I'm sorry. I will find. I know.
Quick footnote on Motley Crue. If it wasn't for Motley Crue in the album Dr. Feelgood, which is a great record, by the way, that's how Metallica found Bob Rock to do the Black Album and everything else. So there's a little tie-in between Metallica and Motley Crue even there.
All right.
So you're good. You're good. You're good on all those fronts. You're good. So today we're talking about one of the most important songs really in music history. AC/DC's Hell's Bells, which of course is the first song we all heard on the first record after Bon Scott had passed away. Where did you come in on AC/DC? Were you a fan of the Bon Scott era, or did you come in a little bit later?
A little bit later, but still one of my all-time favorite bands. I have something prepared for today that I'm going to surprise you with at some point. But one of the cool things, though, with AC/DC is, you know, their catalog. Another one of those bands is just like, God, it's hit after hit after hit. My second favorite song, I should say, is A Long Way to the Top, if you want to rock and roll. And it's like they have such these great anthems. Like, that's the one thing about AC/DC is like the number of anthems that they have and just defines a generation, so to speak.
Yeah, and this record, too, is the second biggest selling album in music history, which is pretty incredible when you think about there's a lot of albums out there, in this particular one. I mean, it's an amazing record. And by the way, the first time I ever heard it, you'll appreciate this being an Orange County guy, was actually K-Rock, the radio station K-Rock, at like, I think it was either midnight or 11 o'clock. It was late, the day before it actually got released to the public. They played the whole album. Of course, I stayed up and listened to it. It was kind of obviously blown away. It's so weird, though, I was a massive fan of Bon Scott and AC/DC. They're my favorite band at that point. And then, of course, Bon passes. And then this record comes out, and it's like, oh my God, this is unbelievably amazing record. And Brian Johnson, who I knew before because he was in this band Geordie that I knew, so I was familiar with him. I thought, it probably will work out. I didn't realize it was going to work out quite as well as it has.
No, for sure. And it really is, we talked about this last time when I came on the show, and we were talking about Bark at the Moon. It's these moments in time where you're sort of passing the torch, where you're going from one really creative influence to another. We saw it with Ozzy Osbourne, where they were able to go from Randy Rhoads to Jake E. Lee. And of course, with AC/DC, it's always more abrupt when it is your lead singer. And I think the masses spoke to it when they went out there and made this, as you said, the number 2 rock album of all time. And it really is like taking over. It's like watching a sports team where you have a generational superstar and you're like, oh no, he's leaving or he's doing this. Are we going to be able to keep this momentum going? But they're able to do it. And I think, you continue to just exceed. I mean, even to this day, AC/DC is still held in such high esteem. We were talking about this the other day, speaking of rock t-shirts, of like, hey, what are rock t-shirts that you see a lot where you're like, there's no way the kid knows this band? Like, there's toddlers walking around in Nirvana t-shirts. You're like, okay, but I don't want to hate. I'm old enough in my life to where I don't need to gatekeep this stuff. Like, who cares? But AC/DC is one of those. I've seen a lot of it. I don't know if it's just where I'm at, but I've seen a lot more of the AC/DC, and I'm like, all right, like I see you walking. I think the kids love. I think Back in Black is the song that does it for a lot of people, but Hell's Bells also very prominent, not just in music.
Yeah, I mean, just an amazing song. And it's like you mentioned, is your favorite AC/DC song. It's not my favorite overall AC/DC song, but it's might be my favorite of the Brian Johnson era. And the way to begin the record, especially after knowing the whole history with the bell and that just incredible opening riff and going into the song is just, I was just blown away from the moment I heard it again on K-Rock. So I couldn't wait to get my hands on the record the next day when it came out. But it's such an iconic track. It's one of those things where, this one thing I love about music, just everything comes together perfectly. It's like literally the perfect song. Opening track, the opening bells, the guitar thing, and then Brian's amazing vocals. It's just the guitar solo is incredible. Like everything about this song is just literally perfect.
We talked about this last time I was on too, is I'm always a big fan of those songs that always they have a ramp up, so to speak. Yes. And it's just something that builds. I talk about some of my favorite Metallica songs, Battery being one of my favorite Metallica songs of all time. Like that build up to get to that song, and a lot of the other ones too. I was thinking Damage Incorporated also does that a little bit as well. But that is one of the key components for it. And again, when you're a band who, going from Bon to Brian, and you're like, okay, we've got to make this stick. We got to stick the landing. We got to hit it off. I don't know if they do this still, and forgive my ignorance on this, but it's always like one of those things where from a comedic standpoint, it's like you always want to start off with your second best joke or something, or at least try to make somebody laugh within 15 seconds so that you establish that, okay, hey, I'm funny. You're going to keep going. I'm going to listen to what you say for the next 15, 20 minutes. And I think with music, or at least especially here in this song, this is the song where you're like, okay, I'm giving this, we're back in. We're not sure what we're going to get out of AC/DC now. But once they hit this, you're like, okay, well, I've bought in for everything else. And let's see how this plays out.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, again, just perfect opening track. And it still blows me away that how popular this record is. I mean, how big AC/DC is. They're still when they do play live, which isn't a lot because obviously they're getting older, they're still playing, and selling out stadiums everywhere. Like, especially in Europe, they're playing these, 150,000 seat venues. It's insane.
But one of the most popular tribute bands here in Southern California is, I think they are called Hell's Bells. But there's a tribute band that comes around Huntington Beach all the time. And now one of my friends is in a Ramones cover band. And I was like, and now when they play together, you're like, this is the best of both worlds. Cause like you get this in the crowd, and it's a cool band. I don't know if they do this all the time, but they did have a bagpipes guy there for a long way to the top. So it really was just so amazing. And it's, I don't know, it's one of the, it's a testament to them being able to pick it up and keep going and what they meant, not only musically, but in other avenues as well.
Yeah, I'm not a big cover band guy at all, but I did, of all things, in Stockholm, Sweden, saw an AC/DC cover band that was incredible. Like the singer was so good. The whole band was really good. It was just, I was just there with them on Martha, just hanging around. They said, "Oh, we got to go see this band, this AC/DC cover band. They're really good." I'm like, "Oh, really? Do we have to?" And I went like, "Oh my God, it's actually really good." So you never know. But just the fact that there's 8 billion cover bands of AC/DC shows you how enduring their legacy is.
It is a little funny, though, when you talk about tribute bands. It's like the ones for bands that are still active. Like somebody asked, like, speaking of Duran Duran, somebody's like, "Hey, there's a Duran Duran tribute band." And we're like, I just saw the actual band. Like, I don't need to see it. Like, as a matter of fact, I was, but these guys are young. I'm like, I don't care if they're younger and they sound like the tribute band sounds like how they use it. Doesn't matter. Like, I'd never seen Roger. I was thinking about this because like the eras where I was going to Duran Duran shows, it was right after the album with "I Don't Want Your Love" in it, and it was like Roger had left the band, and I'm like, I've never seen Roger play before, so like I want to go see him. I don't want to see the tribute band, and similarly, like I really just want to see the band.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point because it's like, why go see a cover? I get it. You know, bands don't tour all the time, and there's a lot of fans. I mean, clearly there's a demand for it. There's a lot of like smaller clubs in the country now. They're basically staying alive because they have tons of cover bands. Like I'm in Dallas right now, and there's a really great venue here called the Granada Theater, which I've seen a ton of shows at for our bands and other bands. It's great, but to stay open every night a week, 7 nights a week, and actually make money, they have probably 60% of the time cover bands. So I get it. It's a thing. I've not been there to see a cover band though.
I mean, I get it. I don't want to besmirch anybody for living the dream. I used to go when I was a regular attendee of Las Vegas. We used to go see a couple of bands. One of them was called Arena, and then they gave way to Spandex Nation, which is fun. And they're not one band. It's like, hey, we're playing all the hits. There's a time. There is something to be said about that. It is fun. It is cool. We're not trying to take away from anybody who's in a cover band. You guys are great. Tribute bands are awesome.
Exactly. Now, you mentioned that you came in on AC/DC during the Brian era, so which means, of course, you had to backtrack to the Bon Scott era. And I love asking this question just because we did Geezer Butler and Heaven and Hell. I was talking to Mark Lewis, the producer, about that, and he came in on Sabbath on Heaven and Hell. So he had never heard Ozzy before, and he loved Sabbath with Dio as the singers.
I was the same way. With Dio, I was also like Black Sabbath with Ronnie James Dio. I had no idea that Ozzy was like, oh, like he was the singer. Like you'd go and see some old videos, even to this day. And it's like with Iron Maiden too, with Bruce Dickinson. Like that to me was just who the lead singer of Iron Maiden was. And so forgive me. Oh, I play this game with my kids. We were doing it. Believe it or not, we were coming out of the movie theater, and we're walking through this place, Bellaterra in Huntington Beach. And the music, the loudspeaker, like the house music, so to speak, of like walking through this mall, they were playing, I want to say it was Big Mouth Strikes Again. And I just asked my daughter, like my daughter's going to know. I'm like, hey, is this the Smiths or is this Morrissey single? She's like, no. And I'm that way. Like, I got to be perfectly truthful with you. I'm not going to front. Like, a lot of Beatles stuff is like that. Like, is this a George Harrison song or is this Beatles proper? To me, everything is AC/DC. Because I didn't live in the Bon Scott era, it's not like, oh, that's not hit. Like, that wasn't him. Like, oh, I just will throw on a video and be like, oh, okay, that's not who I expected to be singing this. So for me, it's all, I feel like a poser because I'm like, it's all the same. Like, there are other bands that I'm into that I could really, like, I could tell you, speaking of Depeche Mode, like, hey, everything that's Vincent Clark as opposed to Alan Wilder. I know the difference on that. And then I know when Martin took over and things like that. So for everything for AC/DC, like I'm sorry if that makes me uncool, but I'm not going to front. I'm not going to lie to you and try to be a poser, but I like
That's perfectly fine. And look, the singers are not that different. So it's, I could see, I have friends that do the same thing. They're like, what? Oh, I didn't know that. Cause they see CDC now and they're like, was that a Bon Scott song or no, that was a Bon Scott song, but it's fine. As long as you're a fan.
At the risk of somebody in the comments being like, idiot, that was Bon Scott. Like, sorry. Cause I'll forget. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
Oh, I actually got in trouble. I did a Kiss podcast and they asked me what my favorite Kiss record without makeup was. And I said Creatures of the Night. And I forgot that they had makeup on there. It was right kind of before they took off the makeup, but I couldn't really think of any other songs.
Lick It Up?
Yeah.
Wait, no. Animalize.
Yeah. Either of those two. But anyway, somebody in the comments was like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
This guy. I was going to tell you. Yeah. That part of it wouldn't be what I would be able to do. Like for them, like the one cool thing is like, it still pretty much stays the same. And not like it stays the same. And again, you mentioned this, like it's not like a complete departure where you're like, oh, these are two different bands. Where with Van Halen, for instance.
Yeah. Or even Sabbath too.
Sabbath is a lot of like completely, and not that it's bad. Like I've been on record I remember at one time, oh God, who was the old Cardinals coach who took the Cardinals to the Super Bowl? Ken Wisenhunt. And I go, hey, which singer of Van Halen do you like better? He goes, is it cool to say that I like both? And I'm like, it's not cool because people get very upset about this, but it is cool in that both of them were awesome and both of them had great albums. And I don't think there's anything about it. Karabi, speaking of Motley Crue, Karabi's Motley Crue, they might as well have just called that a different band because it was not really, and it's not like Vince Neil's going to go out and sing Hooligan's Holiday, but and that's the one cool thing about AC/DC, and it does fool me. And again, I don't want to front because I know how seriously people can take this sometimes. I don't want to be the guy who's got that completely wrong and they just tune me out. So I'll let them know I'm an idiot right off the top. I'll just freely admit it.
You're good. And it's interesting because, we've talked about this a lot over the course of this podcast because we've talked about a lot of bands that were able to do the switch singers thing, which is maybe you can count on one hand, Sabbath, Van Halen, AC/DC. There's not very many others that are able to do it. Maiden. Yep. Not very many. And when you see, what happened to Iron Maiden in the middle of it, when Blaze Bayley was in the band, which I love Blaze, is a great singer, but the wrong guy for Iron Maiden, or as you mentioned, Karabi and Motley Crue, it just doesn't work. It's that dynamic of the lead singer is just such an important part.
And it's one thing. Yeah. It's one thing to change guitarist or do whatever. And it's funny too, because when you see some of these bands that are still touring, I think Rat's one of these. Quiet Riot for sure, because Kevin DuBrow has passed away. But it's like, hey, when the singer's gone, it's kind of like really, really difficult. Like it really is something where like it's almost irreplaceable because that voice is that voice. And it's okay. Like when Guns N' Roses started going with the Stone Temple with Scott Weiland, and they were just completely different band. Like, okay, fine. Like this I love, like this, and it was great. And it's just like, I wish more people would. I understand marketing and you want to get people, but like if you would have ever gone to a Guns N' Roses show, but like, hey, we got Scott Weiland, you're like, this doesn't, and not in a sense of like, not like a one-off, not like when Axl was filling in for AC/DC, but like we're now Velvet Revolver. You're like, yeah, cool. Like just do another band. It's fine. I'm still going to listen. I'm still going to enjoy it. But it's okay to change. But I think that AC/DC did the right thing.
Yeah, and I know that was a big question mark for them because again, Bon was such an imposing figure in the band, and kind of not really the leader. Malcolm was always the leader, but as the front man, it's very important. I think they had a couple of minutes where what do we do now? I mean, we have got to get a new singer, which is number one, kind of weird, but I think they all felt that Bon would want them to go on as AC/DC with another singer, and they hit the jackpot with Brian, and the rest is history there, of course. So you mentioned that this particular song we're talking about, Hell's Bells, is your favorite AC/DC song. Why is that?
You know why? Because it's a sports implication for me, and this is It's fun. I love Back in Black. I really love too. Like it's funny because Back in Black for anybody who watches professional wrestling right now, Seth Rollins, who back in the day when he was an independent wrestler was known as Tyler Black, this was his theme song. The Road Warriors back in the day used to use Iron Man, which was obviously a Sabbath song. Ozzy Osbourne Sabbath song, by the way. That I should know.
Yes.
But it's always like a sports connection that like really brings me in. And A Long Way to the Top, maybe that is my favorite. But like I really love Hell's Bells because back in the day, but to my knowledge, and maybe he wasn't the first, but he was one of the innovators of this, is Trevor Hoffman, who was a longtime closer for the San Diego Padres, used Hell's Bells. Now, obviously, Mariano Rivera was very famous for using Enter Sandman for this. I don't know who was first, so I'm sorry if the Yankees fans going to come in here and get upset, but I live on the West Coast, and I watch more Padre games than I watched Yankee games. So when Trevor Hoffman came into Hell's Bells, it was a stadium experience, and it was one of the first times too because they would play in Qualcomm back in the day, and they had the lights going with it, and it became a musical production. And there was something about it, and it was one of the reasons why you would not leave a Padres game early. Well, you shouldn't leave anyways because the game's not over. But it's one of those things like, oh, we're going to hear Hell's Bells, and it was just ominous, and it made Trevor Hoffman this larger than life person. Now, a lot of people might think that Trevor Hoffman was this guy who threw like 103 like, no, he wasn't. He really wasn't. But he was so imposing and so intimidating because he came out to Hell's Bells and the stadium was into it and everybody was into it. Like you couldn't help but get caught up in the emotion of everything that was going on whenever you would go out to take the mound.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was amazing. And he might have been, he was certainly one of the originators of that, or whoever came up with the idea, but whether it was him or the team or the PR people, whatever. But yeah, that was awesome. I love when that stuff creeps into sports. And even now you have walk-up music for like hitters and stuff, which is cool. Speaking of sports, because you're a big sports guy, I want to talk about two quick things. The World Cup's going on right now. Who's your pick to win the World Cup?
Oh man, it's hard. God, Norway is going to win it, and I'm so torn on them because Martin Odegaard is one of my favorite players. He's getting completely fit now and looking a lot better, but it's also got Erling Haaland on it, who I do not like. And it's one of those things like, I don't want Haaland to win the World Cup, but then I want Odegaard to win it. So one of the great things about the World Cup is watching players from your favorite team. Now, I'm an Arsenal supporter, so we're looking at obviously England, but like Belgium, obviously Norway, Spain's got 3 guys, and it's fun. And Capier plays for Ecuador. Like, it's really fun to just root for these guys and do all that stuff. But it's what I've seen so far. Now, obviously, France looks pretty prominent. They look really good. The USA is playing fantastic football right now, and I really love to see it. But the team that has impressed me the most right now has been Norway. Who do you think is going to win?
I think it's going to be France. I mean, they just look so good. And Mbappe is, Messi is my favorite player of all time, and he's the greatest of all time for now. But Mbappe, I think, is the best player in the world right now. And anytime you have somebody with that much talent on a team, and they're a good team, but it's fun because really there's not one major dominant team. Like you just mentioned 3 teams that you were talking about, and any of those teams could win it. France could win, Argentina could win it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. So I'm not a big soccer fan, but I love the World Cup. I always watch the World Cup when it comes around. I'm trying to watch almost all the games, but it's fun. It's just fun to watch. And yeah, the USA, home team. So we're all hoping they do well. So far, so good, but they haven't really played anybody that good yet. So let's see when they play.
Hey, Paraguay is fine. And then, you know what? Honestly, if they get through, I know New Zealand had a little bit of a tough stretch.
Yep.
So they might not be that, but we could play somebody the level of New Zealand. So there's like a real legitimate chance of the USA getting down to the Sweet 16.
Yep.
They are playing good ball. They are. They're actually scoring goals, and something that Greg Burkholder told us was not possible. You're like, oh yeah, we can actually play some quality football. So I do love that Antonio Freeman's son is playing. I remember one time I was doing GMFB back in the day, and Justin Reed was on there of the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm like, bro, I go, you're the reason why we're terrible at soccer. And he goes, what do you mean? I'm like, you were great at soccer, and then you stopped playing to go into the NFL. If you were still playing competitive soccer, well, we need like 4 of you.
Right.
And we would be fine. We might not win the World Cup, but we'd be a lot better than we are. But we see that with Antonio Freeman's son. So happy to see that happening.
Yeah, it's good. And so we're talking about football. I'm a massive football fan, and these are the dark days of football where there's middle of the off season, not much going on. And I'm trying to wrap my head. It's still early to really tell, but you're the expert here. So I'll ask you, who are the favorites to win the Super Bowl next season?
Obviously, everybody's going to be looking at the LA Rams for what they were able to do to get Myles Garrett. That's been huge for them. They also got McDuffie, like a lot of the moves that they've done, and they're teasing a possible return for Aaron Donald. So Aaron Donald could sit there about week 10 and be like, you know what, I'm going to go out there and play. He doesn't need to show up until the playoffs and sign a league minimum contract. I don't know. The salary cap doesn't matter. Yeah. So the Rams are going to be one of the favorites to do it. On the AFC side, though, it's really wide open. I don't know what's going to happen with New England. Everything that went on with Mike Vrabel. Is Patrick Mahomes going to be fit and ready to go? It looks like he could be ready for week 1. I really like the Denver Broncos. I like getting Jaden Waddle for them to kind of open up their offense a little bit. So the AFC is more wide open, but on the NFC side, it looks like the Rams. And then you have like the Eagles, the Bears, the Packers, and all those teams, just the 49ers fighting it out and trying to figure out who can knock off the Rams.
Yeah, as long as Stafford stays healthy, I think that's the biggest question mark for the Rams.
Who is your team, though?
I'm a West Coast guy, so I'm not one of these guys that's tried it. My favorite team has been since I was 3 years old. So I was a big Bronco fan for a long time. Growing up as a kid, a lot of my family lived in Denver. We used to go up there for the holidays, and this is when the Broncos were horrible. But that city loved them so much. It became a big Bronco fan, and then, of course, Elway comes in. And so I've been a big fan. Not so much lately. I can't really root for a team that's owned by the Walmart people.
They're building their own stadium, though. That's the one thing that you got to like. Honestly, like that, my leanings would be against rich people. But like Stan Kroenke's building his own stuff, spending money on the teams. If you're rich, but you're spending money on the team, I'm like, I'll give you a little bit more grace.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. Look, they're all billionaires and all crazy people, but I like the Rams. You know, I've always been a fan of the Rams. I love Sean McVay. I think he's a great coach, and from what I've heard, he's a really good dude as well. There's a lot of teams. I just root for fun, good football. I spend my entire Sunday just watching Red Zone the entire day. That's all I do is I just stay there and watch Red Zone the whole day, and I have like 2 other TVs with other games going on in the background. So I love football on Sundays, and it's almost on every day. And do the Raiders stand a chance of even going 500? Is there a possibility?
I think so. You know what? Honestly, I think that, you know, Fernando Mendoza comes in there and eventually he's going to start. The only thing that could derail them is if they're like, hey, we're going to turn this over to Mendoza, similar to what happened with Eli Manning years ago, where the Giants were 5-4 with Kurt Warner as the starting quarterback. And they're like, well, let's go to Eli now. You're like, you guys could make the playoffs. They're like, yeah, but we want to win Super Bowls eventually. And it worked out as they won 2 against Tom Brady. So the Raiders could be in a similar type of situation. I kind of like Ashton Genty. Brock Bowers is one of the better tight ends in the league. So they've got some players. Like they could be fun. It's a tough division, though, because the LA Chargers are so good. Kansas City's getting Mahomes back. The Raiders are going to have a tough time being 500. I don't think that's a knock on the team. I think that's more indicative of the division that they got going on more than anything else. But I think the Raiders are actually headed in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm the primo season ticket holder of the Raiders because of, 2 reasons. Number one, first reason is my buddy Kerry King, who I mentioned earlier. He's a massive Raider fan, so he kind of roped me into buying 2 tickets next to his 2 tickets, and unbeknownst to how much it was going to cost. And I'm like, okay. But it's fun. The games are fun. The stadium's awesome.
You don't have rain and blood money. Like, what's going on?
And I know some of the guys who work for the Raiders are huge metalheads, so they're all really cool. I've met Mark Davis, who's another big rock metal guy. He's actually a really nice guy.
He is he's a super nice guy. He's really
not sure he's a great owner, but he's a super nice guy. But
super cool though.
Yeah, but we'll see. I hope more for the team and my friends who are big fans. Hadfield's another massive Raider fan. Every year it's like a whole new team, a whole new coaching staff, whole new everything, same results. So I'm very apprehensive going in. Can we just not go 3-13 and maybe make these people's lives a little bit better? But it should be interesting. I'm like I said, it's the that's why I'm so into the World Cup now, because it's in the dark days of sports where there's no hockey, no football. It's always fun to talk about football because September is not too far away. And
not too far. No, we're less than 100 days, so we're getting there.
Exactly. Now, you mentioned earlier you had something.
So, for obviously, one of the reasons that we got to know each other is I was doing the after hour with Jim Rome, and one of the staples that we would do in the after hour was top 5 list.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to come onto your show and not have a top 5 list. And I thought, based on Hell's Bells and the story I was talking about, Trevor Hoffman, I am going to give you my top 5 songs I would pick if I was a Major League Baseball closer.
Nice. Oh, I like this. Let's see.
So these are mine. I had to take out, I love this song by Collective Soul called, I think the song is called Wait. When all your weight comes down on me. The intro of it is so great. It's my 5A, so to speak. Just missed, but a great song by Collective Soul.
I love Collective Soul, so that's good.
They're good. They're fine. Yeah, they're good. But at number 5, because I wanted to curry favor with the fan base. I don't think that anybody's used this as a closer song, but I would go with Creeping Death.
He wasn't really a closer, but my buddy Travis Blackley, who played for the A's and a few other major league teams, he used to come out to Creeping Death, but he wasn't really a closer. He was, kind of a mid reliever. So
okay, I'm glad somebody did that. I'm sure. But it wasn't somebody at Mariano or Trevor's.
No. Only played 5 or 6 years. Good guy though.
That's pretty awesome. Like, I love how you just brush it. He only played 5 years. Like, that's a pretty significant thing. Put some respect on that. That's pretty good. Even a middle reliever, making pretty good money. But at number 5, we're going to go with Creeping Death. Number 4 is usually a wild card, and this is where I would have put the Collective Soul song in there. But I'm going to go back to one of my favorites, Breed by Nirvana. My absolute favorite Nirvana song. Hitting that song and just sprinting out of the mound. I would be so fired up. I wouldn't even need warm-up pitches. I'd just be ready to go.
It would have to be a Seattle Mariner, of course, though.
Of course, yes. At number 3, I wish UNLV, their football team, would use this. Find a way to make this happen. But I think, again, I love the slow buildup of songs, and I go, this would be one where I'd have to walk in from the bullpen, but Fear of the Dark.
Oh, yeah.
Fear of the Dark would be such a great stadium anthem with all the fans. Whoa. And then right when you hit the mound, you orchestrate it, you edit it. So, like, I pick up the ball when you hit the chorus of Fear of the Dark.
Perfect.
At number 2, again, slow build-up song, Smashing Pumpkins, Cherub Rock. I love that song. That was the one song that got me into the Smashing Pumpkins. Just
great song.
The gates swing open, it just builds up. Like, again, I'm producing this, the run-up of, like, hitting the mound, like, right when the song hits.
And again, we'd have to get either a Cub or a White Sox to do that to make it more perfect. Because
you know what, that would Chicago. I forget if Corrigan's a White Sox fan or a Cubs fan, but like, yes. Oh, he's a diehard Cubs fan. That's one of the best rock songs of all time. So you're good. And at number 1, and again, I guess this would be another Mariners closer. After the guy who came out to Breed runs out, probably my favorite Pearl Jam song is Animal.
That would be a great song. Yeah, that's the Pearl Jam era stuff that I really like. That early stuff.
Oh my God, Versus. People love 10 for obvious reasons. It's a great album, but like Versus was, to me, you're like, hey, Desert Island, you get one Pearl Jam album. Like, okay, I'm taking Versus.
Well, I go way back with those Pearl Jam guys real quickly. I saw the Incredible Bad Mother Love Bone up in Seattle. I went up there a couple of times to see them, and they were unbelievable. Of course, it's Stone and Jeff from Pearl Jam. And of course, their lead singer unfortunately OD'd before they really ever got off the ground. And then they started a new band, which they called Mookie Blaylock at first. Yeah. And I saw them open for Alice in Chains. And in all honesty, they were not very good. And those guys came up to me after, what did you think of our new band? I'm like, oh yeah, it was interesting. And they weren't very good, but they probably their second gig ever or something. So, but they changed the name to Pearl Jam and they did okay.
They did all right. Yeah, they did all right. Think about them opening up for Alice in Chains. To think about them at the Cow Palace. What about 89, maybe 90? Yeah, when them and Nirvana opened up for the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like that just still blows my mind.
Yeah, that's one of those legendary shows. Although I have to say, I feel really bad saying this. because I loved all those bands. I knew all of them. The only band I didn't really know was Nirvana, and I love them and they're incredible. But a couple of times I saw them live, they were not really great. Pretty sloppy, unfortunately. And Kurt, he had a lot of health issues and whatnot, so he wasn't always on either, which is kind of sad. But that show would have been unbelievable.
Yeah, just saying, like, what a great concert ticket stub to be like, oh yeah, by the way, I saw this. Like, I always take great pride in going to see Real Big Fish over and over again one summer, but Blink-182 was one of their supporting acts, to the point of like, we were going through and then we're like, I'm going to leave during the Real Big Fish show. Like, I'm just here to see Blink-182. And then it switched, and obviously they switched drummers and they took off.
Since you're a big Blink fan, what was your opinion on the guy that came in that replaced
Matt Skiba from Alkaline Trio? Yeah, it's funny because when we were running through the bands that changed singers, I was almost tempted to be like, hey, Blink-182 sort of did this when they brought in Skiba. I thought he did a great job. Yeah, I thought their albums were good, and I thought it was good. It's not the same. Like, I welcome back Tom DeLonge, obviously. But I thought he did really well. And I saw one of the last shows at Irvine Meadows was a Blink-182 show with Matt, and really enjoyed it. I thought they were really good. They were really tight. I
saw him a couple of times. The reason I bring it up is because he's a really good friend with a couple of really good friends of mine. And they were the ones that said, hey, we got to go see him. And I met him. Super, super nice guy. Like, they're the guys that manage Kill Switch, and they're two of my best friends. So I might have seen Blink with him more than I did with Tom, maybe, because we went like 3 or 4 times just because they're such good friends. And he's a good dude. So,
and I know that he played with the other 3 guys. Like, he came out and played, and I'm glad that happened, because I think that, when certain situations like that happen, I think that it's always good to recognize, like, hey, somebody came in and did a really nice job for us. Like, it's not, I don't think that it was any slight against Tom or anything like that, but those guys needed to go through what they went through. They all made great music. It's cool to celebrate everybody.
Absolutely. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. That was amazing as always. And I'm sure we'll see you again soon.
I hope so. Let's do this again some other time.
All right, that'll do it. That was a fun one. Bit of a long one, but Adam's so great. It was always fun to talk to him about sports and music. He knows his stuff. And you can see him every Tuesday and Friday on the NFL Network, the show The Insiders. So start taping that for you. And before that, we heard Ryan Williams from Metal Blade about the production. And of course, Mr. Martin Popoff led us all off. Thanks to Lizzie Borden for our theme song, and big thanks to our producer, Mr. Christian Blatt, the man who makes it all work. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you guys next episode.
This episode is brought to you by Google Health. Stop chasing someone else's definition of health. What matters is what's healthy for you. Google Health offers a new kind of coach built with Gemini for effortless tracking, sleep insights, and holistic coaching tailored to you. Visit googlestore.com to learn more and start a new relationship with your health. Requires Google account, Google Health app, internet, and Google Health premium subscription. Features subject to change. Availability and results vary. Not intended for medical purposes. Works independently of Gemini apps. Check responses for accuracy.